Hi everybody, this is my first video in English. Let's try. English is not my first language, so please be kind. I have some notes, and today we're going to talk about. I want to talk about LLMs and their limitations. So basically, I want to speak from the perspective of a user. I found it to be really helpful sometimes during my day-to-day job. I work as a software engineer, full stack developer, whatever, and so I find myself using them sometimes. Like I use ChatGPT, Claude, or recently the new DeepSeek models are also really good, and so let's talk a little bit about limitations of LLM from a user perspective, that mainly not just but mainly use them for code generation and computer science related topics. I have a little bit of background in artificial intelligence, but I'm not really dive deeper in the LLM space, and just some training, some basic architecture development, nothing big and nothing really spectacular from my experience. And so basically an informed user perspective. Basically, I think that the main problem is hallucination. Hallucination in this context, more about loss of information when used with big context. It's not that type of hallucination that we learned to experience maybe like 2021 or 22 with the first big LLMs publicly available. I've found that that type of hallucination mainly are not there anymore, at least not that easily discoverable in the day-to-day task, at least. But they're still having big problems when the context is really large, and this is the case for most of the questions, most of the chats that I have with the LLMs in the computer science and mainly in the programming type of tasks, because you have to give them so to have a beautiful answer or at least a decent answer from the LLM in the programming space, you have to give them all of the informations needed to get every single detail right, because sometimes he has to generate the code, and the code not only has to compile. That's not the main problem. The problem of the code is that it has to handle every single little bits of information correctly, and so every single case should work correctly and not missed. And to have that kind of code generated, you have to give them context. So, for example, in a full stack application, you probably have to give them the front-end code, partial front-end code, the back-end code, the entry points, and some functions, and also some queries, even in the most simple cases. And I usually don't use them in the most simple cases. So the problem in this sense is that the context is starts to be really long, and the more you go ahead in the same chat, the more the context is increasing the size. And what I found is that the LLM responds better if you give them all of the details, but it's not good after some times when the context becomes too large, because it ends up missing some important details. And even if you are really specific about them and you point at the LLM at these details. And that's the main problem I found with them right now in my day-to-day usage. And for the details part, I mean, you have to give them details if you want really good answers, and that's not that different from a human. If the requirements are not good, the answer is not good, will not be good enough. But the difference is that from a human you get maybe a depends, maybe a general answer, but the humans tends not to be assertive, while the LLMs is very assertive, and so the problem when the context windows increases, seems like that the LLM starts to lose attention to details, and like losing focus on the task at hand. And but if you don't give them details, the answer will not be correct, at least if you're not asking for a really basic query. And so also another limitation that is pretty easy to find is that LLMs are really good at picking the right answer, but not at generating it. So it's really easy to give them codes, different codes for do the same thing, or to spot some bugs. They're not perfect, of course, but they tend to do better instead of generating correctly the answer. So the LLMs are mostly good at picking and less good at generating from out of nowhere, of course. And also this goes worse. These two problems gets worse. Those two problems get worse when we go to the multimodal stage. So the LLM that's not anymore an LLM, because it's a really complicated system actually. Also from an engineering perspective, not just a model perspective. A multimodal model lose more information when, for example, is just queried with some text in respect to another LLM that just do tests, another model that just do tests. And so this will be very interesting. I'm really sure that with the large investments and the very good researchers in this team and this sector, they will tackle these kind of problems, and I'm really interested to see if the solution is a new architecture. Maybe we know that attention is really hard to scale, and it will be interesting to see if a new architecture will be better performing than the attention layers, attention mechanism, and also they will scale better we will see. Or maybe the problem is in training set. We don't have enough quality training set. We should train with other techniques, or maybe the problem is just scale, because the growth in the scale started to slow down, because the most bigger LLMs models right now started to be some kind of multimodal, not multimodal, but multimodal models, like an ensemble, like a mixture of models. This is the right terminology. And so basically, yes, they are bigger, but not all the parameters are working at the same time. Or maybe the new LLMs, the new bigger LLMs will be a combination, will tackle this problem with a combination of these three factors. So a new architecture, maybe better training set. This probably would be the case, and just more scale. Thanks for listening. Let's see you in another video. We'll see if in Italian or in English. This was some kind of funny experiments. Bye.